Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept our humble obeisances. All glories to Jagat Krishna Prabhupada. All glories to our revered speaker for today, Her Grace Sri Radha Govinda Devi. And all glories to the Samud Vaishnavi devotees. We thank you all for being here as always. Today is Monday, 23rd of February 2026. And it is the beginning of a new week. We're grateful to their lordships for bringing us here together again. Without further ado, Shraddha Govinda Devi, you may go ahead. Let me see if you have the rights.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Mukha Karoti Vachalam Pangoram Gayate Girim Yat Kripa Tamaham Mande Shri Guru Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Jayapataka Swami Niti Namine Namacharya Padaya Nitai Kripa Pradayine Gaurakata Damadaya Nagara Grama Tarine Nama Om Vishnu Vrinda Ki Jai. Thank you, Sade Prabhu. Vishnu Vrinda Ki Jai. Thank you, Sade Prabhu. Thank you, Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you for your association. We are studying from the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 16, text 11. We will read this verse in the same style of Brahma Samhita, similar tune. Ye brahmanan mayi diya kshipato chayantas tushadridasmita sudhikshito padma vaktra Vanyānurāga-kalayātma-javat-krinanta Sambhodayantyahamīvaham upahritastaihi. Ye brahmanan mayi diya kshipato chayantas tushadridasmita sudhikshito padma vaktra Vanyānurāga-kalayātma-javat Kalayatma-javad-grinanta Sambhodayantyahamivaham upahritastahaihi. Ye brahmanan mayi diya kshipator chayantas tushadridasmita sudakshita padma vaktra Vanyānurāga kalayatma jadav-grinanta Sambhodhayantyaham upahritastaihi. Yea, which persons, Brahmanan, the Brahmanas, Mayi, in me, Diya, with intelligence, Shipataha, uttering harsh words, Archayantaha, respecting, Tushat, gladdened, Hridaha, hearts, Smita, smiling, Sudha, nectar, Ukshita, wet, Padma, lotus-like, Vaktra, faces, Vanya, with words, Anuraga Kalaya, loving, Atmajavat, like a sun, Grinantha, praising, Sambhodayanti, pacify, Aham, I, Iva, as, Aham, I, Upahritaha, being controlled, Taihi, by them. Translation: on the other hand, they captivate my heart, who are gladdened in heart, and who their lotus faces enlightened by nectarian smiles. Respect the Brahmanas, even though the Brahmanas utter harsh words. They took upon the Brahmanas as my own self and pacified them by praising them in loving words, even as a son would appease an angry father, or as I am pacifying you. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. It has been observed in many instances in the Vedic scriptures that when the Brahmanas or Vaishnavas curse someone in an angry mood, the person who is cursed does not take it upon himself to treat the Brahmanas or Vaishnavas in the same way. There are many examples of this. For instance, the sons of Kuvera, when cursed by the great sage Narada, did not seek revenge in the same harsh way, but submitted. Here also, when Jaya and Vijaya were cursed by the four Kumaras, they did not become harsh towards them. Rather, they submitted. That should be the way of treating Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. One may sometimes be faced with a grievous situation created by a Brahmana. But instead of meeting him with a similar mood, one should try to pacify him with a smiling face and mild treatment. Brahmanas and Vaishnavas should be accepted as earthly representatives of Narayana. Nowadays, some foolish persons have manufactured the term Daridra Narayana, indicating that the poor man should be accepted as the representative of Narayana. But in Vedic literature, we do not find that poor men should be treated as representatives of Narayana. Of course, those who are unprotected are mentioned here, but the definition of this phase is clear from the Shastras. The poor man should not be unprotected, but the Brahmana should especially be treated as a representative of Narayana and should be worshipped like him. It is specifically said that to pacify the Brahmanas, one's face should be lotus-like. A lotus-like face is exhibited when one is adorned with love and affection. In this respect, the example of the fathers being angry at the son and the sons trying to pacify the father with smiling and sweet words is very appropriate. Okay, can we have a volunteer to read the translation for today, please, one more time before we begin?
On the other hand, they captivate my heart who are gladdened in heart and who, their lotus faces enlightened by nectarian smells, respected Brahmins, even though the Brahmins utter harsh words. They look upon the Brahmins as my own self and pacify them by praising them in loving words, even as a son would appease an angry father, or as I am pacifying you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Sahadev Prabhu. Yeah. Sambhodayanti means how is addressed just like the Lord. This is actually very interesting because in this section of Srimad Bhagavatam, Lord Narayana, Krishna, he's glorifying those who respect Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. He explains that even when faced by very serious difficulties, such as being cursed severely, even in such circumstances, even harsh words, I mean, this is not just harsh words, okay? This is much more than harsh words. Or grievous situation created by a Brahmana, a devotee should remain peaceful and offering a lotus-like face and sweet words, just like a son appeasing an angry father. So what happens? What's the background story? Jaya and Vijaya versus the four Kumaras. Which side are you on? Which team are you on? So the doorkeepers of Vaikunta, Jaya and Vijaya, they stopped the four Kumaras at the seventh gate. And then despite the Kumaras, like they look like babies, the small children, you can see in my background here, childlike appearance, young, beautiful, cute little babies. But they were, I mean, don't go by looks because they were very senior. They were realized sages. And then they were blocked. After passing 6 gates without any issue, then there international, no, not international, it would be a transcendental, intercelestial, transcendental conflict. So there are some lessons that we can learn. First of all, we may have this concept like a wiring that we think once I am in the spiritual world or Vaikuntha, or when I take initiation or I go to Mayapur, whatever is our, once I go, I'm spiritual with ... I will never be triggered or I will never make a mistake. Reality is the pastimes, they may crash with some, these pastimes that we see in Srimad Bhagavatam, many of these pastimes, not only this pastime, it crashes this kind of idealistic thinking which is mechanical. Vaikuntha is perfect because of its relational harmony, not because the individuals are programmed robots. We see this again and again and again. Many pastimes in Srimad Bhagavatam, we see this example. So what does it mean? If Jaya and Vijaya, who is standing literally at the door of God, literally, can have a slip in judgment, or so it appears, we must forgive ourselves and other people for our own slips and other people's mistakes. Perfection is not absence of conflict. It's especially devotional perfection is not just absence of conflict. It's actually the speed and the quality of how we are willing to surrender to the will of the Lord, or that is a real repair, to surrender to God's will. Whether it is Indra, who sometimes, Krishna has his own way. He is a little bit counterintuitive. Certain decisions that Krishna makes in Srimad Bhagavatam, it feels a little bit like, really? Why did Krishna take the side of Indra and not Prithu Maharaj? Prithu Maharaj was so pure. Or in our own personal life circumstances or our movement, we may see, what? Really? That leader went unpunished because they did so many mistakes. And this one is roaming around. What is happening? We may think like that as well. So the danger of this kind of default wiring is because, principle-wise, we may think that once I reach Vaikuntha, we no longer need to labor. Once I get married to that nice devotee, once I reach the holy dham, once I take initiation, once I become a speaker, once I get second initiation, whatever is the spiritual goal, we may think that then after that, after initiation, I'll become something extraordinary and then I don't need to labor anymore. It's a goal, then I'll be Krishna conscious. And welcome to real world, real or material world. It doesn't work like that. Do you agree, Sahadev Prabhu?
Very much, yes.
Unfortunately, right? I wish taking initiation was some magic wand. I also remember I thought like that. I thought like that when I was a teenager. Once I take initiation, something magically will shift. Well, what will magically definitely shift is curses, as we see in this. Our own, if we do mechanical devotional service, then our own spiritual services we do, prayers we do, even in the spiritual world, could lead to some offenses. Of course, there's a whole big topic. Do we fall from the spiritual world or not? That's not where we are getting at. What we are getting at is it possible for great leaders to make mistakes? Is it possible for somebody like Jaya and Vijaya in the spiritual world to commit offenses? This is the thing. So there are key philosophical lessons in this section of Srimad Bhagavatam. The first, very, very important, is Vaikuntha or Sugoloka Vrindavan or spiritual world is not mechanical. Many of us may assume the spiritual world is a place of robotic perfection. However, this pastime is proving that there is individuality, there is free will remains, and Jaya and Vijaya could make their own free will decisions. Maybe they're overzealous in their duty to teach Jaya and Vijaya, and they could appear from one angle that are insensitive to their sage's status sometimes. How can this devotee become angry? He should be without anger. So, no, this is very important to discriminate. The second important lesson is what we have to like see mechanical versus conscious service. Jaya and Vijaya were doing their job. In one sense, sometimes we think that this is wrong. You know, we take one side or the other side, and it can be a big mistake because on one side, Jaya and Vijaya, they're just doing their job. There is a particular YouTube video sometime I watched. There's the guard, like a receptionist, and a lady tries to enter, and this guard is like, "Hey, where are you going? Go this side." And then this person says, "Well," and then finally you figure out that that's the lady who came there is the owner of that whole company that this guy works for. But she kind of humbly goes there, and you know what? She thinks this guy's doing a good job. So they were following the rules. They were following the rules of the seventh gate. The seventh gate, you know, it doesn't mechanically open for anybody. It's strict. So, but the word mechanical is standing out for me. Although it doesn't just open for anybody like that, they were doing it mechanically. The seventh door doesn't open mechanically, but they were stopping them, these boys, mechanically. That's very interesting. One angle of to look at it. So the danger is when we act from this policy of rules and policy, and this is how it should be, and all that, rather than presence, love, etc. Then we lose that sensitivity as devotees. Then I would say in the modern life scenario, following sadhana, following institutional rules, can become very cold and dismissive. You know, our neighbor says, "My dog died," and then you say, "Come on, you know, not the body, especially a dog. It's a dirty dog." You don't do that. We remain sensitive. So the Vaikuntha consciousness, true Vaikuntha consciousness, is being present, is being mindful. So mechanical service, that if we do mechanically listening to Bhagavatam, mechanically chanting, mechanically saying Nitai Gaur Premanande, still there's benefit because we're calling out the holy name. But the effort that we put to be sincere, we get that result. So conscious service requires a regulated nervous system, meaning presence. Why am I doing this? What is my intention? And to see the person, not, oh, he's a sage, he's a sannyasi, he's a rich person, not to see that, but to go beyond that rule book. And then the nature of fall down, right? Does the jiva fall down or not? So Prabhupada very clearly clarifies that this fall is not in the material sense, but it was an accident arranged by the Lord. No doubt about it. Prabhupada clarifies this. So the suffering of separation, because just before this verses, you may have studied how Krishna was like, I'm feeling bored. Who's there to fight with me? Nobody is really qualified. And then he thinks, Jaya and Vijaya, nobody, who else can be more qualified to fight with me? So Krishna had his hand in this whole thing. Then another important lesson is about anger. Anger in the service of the Lord. Who's the first person that comes to our mind when we think of anger? Hanuman. He uses anger in the service of the Lord. So the anger of the Kumaras, if we observe, it's not based on frustration. It's not based on sense gratification. Because there is always, the concept guru, we sometimes think the guru should be nice and always sweet, be sweet, smiling, sing sweetly, give a flower to us. No, the word guru means heavy. The word guru, teachers, they correct us, they put us in the right track. So the anger of the Kumaras is righteous anger. It was intended to correct the discrepancy in spiritual atmosphere. No, that's another thing. And what is the Lord's management, in this whole thing? Narayana's response to this whole situation is a master class in leadership, because he's like super cool, personally very cool to the situation. Not just that, being Supreme Personality of Godhead, he's even taking responsibility here. He takes responsibility for his servant's mistake. That's why they say when you are a devotee, behave yourself because you don't want to bring bad name to Krishna. So, Britya aparadho swaminu danda. So, Krishna is saying, I take responsibility for my devotees' faults. ಎನಗೂ ಆಣೆ ರಂಗ ನಿನಗೂ ಆಣೆ ಎನಗೂ ನಿನಗೂ ಇಬ್ಬರಿಗೂ ನಿನ್ನ ಭಕುತರಾಣೆ ತನು ಮನದನದಲ್ಲಿ ವಂಚಕನಾದರೆ ಎನಗೆ ಆಣೆ ರಂಗ ಲೌಕಿಕನ ನೀ ಬಿಡಿಸದಿದ್ದರೆ ನಿನಗೆ ಆಣೆ. So this is one of our Vaishnava poets. He's saying that there's a contract between the Jiva and the Supreme Lord. It's a contract of love, but it's also a contract of duty. It's a contract of responsibility, of mutual responsibility. So the devotee is singing this song and he's saying, Tanu mannadanadalli vanchakanadare yanage aane. If I betray physically, mentally, or in my external activities, then my part of the contract is broken. I take responsibility for it. But ಲೌಕಿಕವ ನೀ ಬಿಡಿಸದಿದ್ದರೆ ನಿನಗೆ ಆಣೆ. But if the Supreme Personality of Godhead does not free us from the material concept of life, then it's his end of the deal. So we do our part, but if we don't get the strength to do our part, it's the Lord who needs to give us that strength. I mean, it's a little bit of a highly advanced dialogue between the great devotee poet and the Lord, but it is to say that we are completely dependent on the Lord. We cannot complain that, oh, why am I not feeling the taste to chant the holy name the way I want because I don't feel the taste. The mood depends. Oh, Krishna, I really want to please you. And therefore, I want to be able to chant focused, or I want to experience the taste for myself. So there's a big difference there. So the negotiation, that the conflict that's happening in Vaikuntha, the way this Lord is doing it, he's softening the whole situation. And I mean, you cannot even say punishment, but the punishment is such that they will return quickly and they will finish 3 lives as enemies of the Lord to prove or to provide the Lord with this Virya Rasa, mellow of chivalry. He wanted to fight. The Lord wants to fight with somebody really strong, really qualified. Jaya and Vijay it is. So the application of these lessons for us today is we must not become lazy or lax in controlling our mind and our words. He did a mistake, I will also do a mistake. Who cares? Just because I am a devotee, it doesn't matter. I won't get myself in trouble. It doesn't work like that. Sometimes devotees think, I'll do anything, I'll say anything, and I'll get away because I'm a devotee, I'm chanting Hare Krishna. First of all, it's doing offense against the holy name. And second thing is mad elephant offense. To offend a Vaishnava is like ruining everything, completely putting fire on a house that you just built. So this conflict situation can happen anywhere. Could happen from ISKCON around us about Jiva fall or Vaishnavi Diksha Gurus or whatever. From ISKCON to Vaikuntha, it is bound to. But the devotee is surrendered to the will of the Lord. Submission rather than retaliation. Now, that does not mean we just sit quietly and do nothing. It means internally, we know that Krishna, your will and not mine be done internally. And externally, we see our area of influence. We try to do our duty, but without trying to offend the person. Because if there's an issue at hand, we fight about that issue, not the person. We don't offend the person. Because right now it's a fiery situation right now in the movement about Vaishnavi Diksha Guru, and the very critical thinking. It's like some people just don't understand still that we're not the body. So there is a lot of mechanical rigidity, I would say. So then it creates problems, it creates conflicts. And then one side we could see that one side of the party, they're not stooping down to another level like threatening or something, but on another level we can also not know. We don't know what people are feeling internally. We may say this other party may not go back to Godhead because they're doing discrimination or something. But that's up to Krishna.
How are you?
Or yes. Or maybe Krishna will say, okay, you all who are trying to do this discrimination, you still didn't understand. come back as a woman next life and go through. We don't know. We don't know what Krishna will decide, because Krishna is very counterintuitive. We may say to them, okay, you did your thing, let's go back to Godhead. We don't know. It's Krishna. At the same time, we have to do our part of the duty. Let's go to the next point. The lotus-like face. This is the lotus-faced one. Padmalochana, Padmanayana, Krishna, who has lotus eyes, he has lotus face, he has lotus navel. He's saying that to pacify the Brahmana, one should be lotus-like. Interesting. So there's the concept. I teach this concept called, it's kind of anartha nivritti, it's manashiksha, it's like a dialogue with the mind. The modern day psychologically, it's called IFS, internal family systems. So this is about really being in self, in higher self, because we have a higher self and we have the lower self. The lower self is always trying to find excuses. The higher self wants to align with God's will. So when there is a parts in us, there are different parts of us. There is a protector part. The protector parts are like the Kumaras, anger, at the doorman. Very kind of like protector energy. When the protector energy becomes active within us, then our face may become tight. You look at who are these people? Why are they against me? So, but then when we are in the self, means really, truly rooted in the higher self, being in touch with the Atma, then there's a face of lotus face. We smile and we feel it's not fake smile, like the Lord is not giving a fake smile, but it's a psychological result of staying in a state of compassion. Internally, at least. Externally, again. Like Arjuna, sometimes we have to pick the bow and fight. It means that our nervous system, we need to be regulated. We need to do our meditations, breathe. Sometimes people forget to breathe. They become very anxious. And people have different attachment styles. Some people are anxiously attached. Why this person is not messaging me? Does the person love me or not? Does my Guru Maharaj love me or not? He didn't look at me. Nervous system is very out of whack, like it's gone crazy or something. So we need to look at our nervous system. So what does it mean to have a lotus face? In a very practical sense, it means be regulated. Be regulated in your nervous system, how you react in relationships, how you react in triggers. Do you remember to breathe? Do you get enough rest? One thing that really helps is to turn off your phone when you go to sleep. Turn off or leave it away, far away from where you sleep, because the phone has vibrations that causes disturbance to the nervous system. And then, we're all fidgety and, all that. Another very simple thing is also scrolling and watching the thing before going to sleep, or waking up early and watching the phone. These things don't give lotus face. It makes us give, scrolling face. It gives us agitated face. So we're choosing to be the son of God. We're choosing to pacify the angry father rather than being a rebel who fuels the fire. So, but to be that son, we need to be regulated, emotionally regulated, physically regulated. If without nervous system being regulated, no matter how much money you have, how big house you have, what a wonderful spouse you have, amazing kids you have, it does not matter. If your own nervous system is dysregulated, you can cause problems even without any triggers, just because internally there is this trigger happening. So my understanding of lotus face is the nervous system is regulated. You're aware of your thoughts. You can see yourself. You can see the critical parts. You see the parts that are wounded. You see the part that wants to just find something to fight for. You see the other part which is afraid. You see the other part which is telling us why we are not good enough. We know, but like Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, we watch it. We watch like leaves floating in the river. We watch it. We don't react. We don't take that as our sense of identity. So those are some points I have. And if you have any questions or comments, it's a good time. But before you ask your question, Is your nervous system regulated?
Hare Krishna. Well, thank you so much for sharing this with us, of course, as always. Dear devotees, if anyone may have questions, comments, reflections, realizations, you may want to ask or share, please indicate by using the hand emoji or your physical hand, and you'll be asked to unmute to ask your question. Hare Krishna. Mother, thank you. I looked up the definition and the understanding of curse, and it indicates that somebody wishes some sort of negativity on another person, and it could be words uttered. And when the words are uttered, the words have to be affected by a supernatural being or a higher force. So my question is, when someone utters a curse, who is that supernatural being that affects the words that were uttered by the person who cursed? I don't want to use myself because I don't want to curse, and I don't want anybody to curse anyone. But Mr. A curses Mr. B to never remember anything about God. And then a supernatural being somewhere also makes sure that these words that were uttered really come to pass. Who is that unfortunate supernatural being causing someone to forget about God? Who is responsible? This is my bewilderment. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Sahadev Prabhu. I was waiting for this question. So, as anything, Krishna says that everything has three modes of nature. Everything is influenced by three modes of nature. So, the first level of the answer is the three modes of nature are responsible. The second level of answer is, it's like when you open an app, you click on one thing and then it expands and get to know more, you click on the other thing. So, the first response is the modes. Then you have to click on each mode to understand. So in Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, there are curses in all the three modes. For example, Narada Muni cursing the Kuvera's sons, Nalakuvara and Manigriva. Okay, so that's a curse in the mode of Sattva Guna or transcendental actually. So we can't really categorize all curses as bad. Some of the curses are given by great personalities based on their spiritual strength. And okay, that's a one window. Then close that window, open another window. Another is the Rajas Guna category, tab of Rajas Guna. You open, you see many examples, especially in the 9th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, cursing and counter cursing, and oh my God. And there was one of the persons who was cursed. I forget his name now. So it'll come. So one of the boys, he was cursed to be born as a Shudra. And he was really like, as a Kshatriya, he was like, no way, I don't want to be born as a Shudra. So he worked so hard, he became so Krishna conscious, he didn't take birth again. Okay, so that's like one way that even though the curse may be wrong, your behavior could be so right that you can actually avoid the curse. Very, very rare circumstances. And then there is the Tamas Guna. The Tamas Guna level is where we curse out of the opposite. Not like really like Kumaras, because it looks like more Kumaras were also a little bit arranged by the Lord, a little bit Sattva Rajas category. But in Tamas Guna, unfortunately, I'm giving you all this news. I studied about these things in my astrology and how curses work. It's much more common than we think. Because how Tamas Guna works is, Tamas and Rajas both work like this. There's the Mr. A and there is the Mr. B. This is again, when we're not talking about transcendental personalities, not Jaya Vijaya, not the Kumaras level, because they are they vibrate Brahma Tejas. Their curses have another level of impact. It has another level of, how do you say, the explosion. No, if they say next life you're going to become it become a demon. Next life you become a dog, become the duck. All these things comes in ninth canto. All these rishis cursing each other to become a duck, to become this animal, that animal. And those were all happening because they had Brahma Tejas. They had this potency. So in Tamas Guna, what happens? We have some energy. We have some energy within ourselves, some punya karma, something that it's like a bank account. It's like money. It's like an atom bomb, kind of. So you throw that at somebody, either verbally. It's not necessary that it's verbal, by the way, especially the tamas guna curse. Even by just thinking why these people it's a curse. It's a level of curse. If person B is chanting super excellent round, super spiritual, serving the spiritual master, and what perfect sadhana and behavior and everything is perfect, still the curse will be on this person. Is not so easy to get rid of it. But because the person is strong, they may experience very mild amounts of reactions. Look at, for example, famous personalities. They have a lot of curses, sometimes just envy. So in technical terms, there are two levels. One is called the drishti level, another is called the kritima level of curses. Drishti level of curses is when somebody is just envious and they say, I wish I had what they have. So that what is, it's like I said, it's like a time bomb kind of a thing. Wow, why this person gets all this credit and I don't get, it becomes like you're using up the person cursing. The person A, let's take an example, is cursing person B. Person A's acquired good qualities, good karma, good credits, whatever you call it, coming from whichever deity they're worshipping. Doesn't matter if they're worshipping Nrsingadev or Durga or Shiva or Ganesh or his spiritual master. It could be anybody, whoever that person is connected to. Or sometimes he's connected to his own good activities. Maybe he's planting trees, he's saving lives, he's saving dogs on the street, he's feeding poor people. Doesn't matter. Some sukriti, some sort of okay, this is one level of tamas. There's another level, but on one level of tamas, some sukriti this person has. That person A is using that sukriti to cast a energetic vibration towards another person. And that person, again, depending on their strength, may suffer more or less, like that. But there is another deeper underground level of tamas where people literally hire ritualistic people and curse another person. No, that's kind of black magic level. It goes to the black magic level, which Africans, you're not unaware of. So that level of curse is when the envy and the rage and the anger, it's so steep down, 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 that you don't have the power to do anything. You can't just go and do anything to the person, because the person A wants to kill the person B. He'll be put in jail if he tries to do that, right? And this person really wants to harm, then they go to very, very devious levels where they harm. Of course, the person takes karma in the long term, but temporarily feels relief. And that's what Krishna in this verse is saying, that a devotee will never do that. Why? Because we care too much about ourselves, our spiritual lives. So we wouldn't do that. But unfortunately, the tamas guna, the modes of nature, when we are in this material world, there is a tendency. We unconsciously, subconsciously, unaware, ignorantly, we use up our own karmic credits, our own good karma, to curse others. And there is a lot of this. And I help my astrology guru and the team of brahmanas to help people to get rid of curses. So there are different levels of curses. Some curses are coming from ancestors. It's not just you. Your ancestors were cursed by somebody. And then sometimes we have to carry the burden of that. And we have to perform serious Krishna consciousness to get rid of that. There's something called Pitru dosha. Sometimes the forefathers get stuck somewhere. They don't go to Pitriloka or upper worlds, they're stuck somewhere. And because we come from them, we are somewhat responsible to feed their energy so that soul can actually go forward in their journey like that. And then there are curses which are caused by one's own actions. For example, maybe we make some promises that becomes daiva dosha kind of. It's not like curse exactly, but it's more like a dosha, means obstacle, obstruction. We make a promise, I will do this many rounds, I will do, and we don't do. That also produces it's a kind of a self-inflicted curse because we promised that I'll do this, 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 and we don't do spiritual things, especially, and it becomes a daiva dosha, especially when we promise in front of God or when we promise some people promise if I have a son, I will go to this temple and give this much donation, or I'll do, this kind of things. That also causes one level of self-thinker. So it's not like one source, it's not like one particular demigod is in charge of curses. It's not really like that, although there might be something like that also, that somebody who rules over curses, but it's mostly the free will used by the individuals. Sometimes in sattva guna, sometimes in transcendental guna, sometimes in rajoguna, sometimes in mixture, and sometimes in tamoguna. Does it answer the question?
Yes, to some extent, in the sense that I appreciate the explanation, but I was wondering, me sitting here, I may be stronger than, let's say, Hari Chakra Prabhu who's here. And then Govinda Prabhu comes to ask me, Sahadev, I want you to go to Hari Chakra and then beat him up. And I just go and beat him up without asking Govinda, why do I have to go and beat him up? And so that's what I was wondering. Somebody utters words and there is a superior being somewhere, simply because somebody has said that. You just go ahead and then make it happen. It doesn't seem right. It doesn't seem like the higher being is being objective. That is just my bewilderment, because just like I was saying, ordinarily you would think that if someone is stronger than another person tells him to go and beat that person up, you would like to find out, why do I have to go and do that? But it looks like these superior forces, they just, simply because it's been altered, they just go ahead and then do it, which, excuse me, say, doesn't sound right.
Well, it may not sound right from our perspective. I mean, if you have to give like a philosophical conclusion, Krishna is the one behind everything.
Yeah, of course, Krishna is behind everything, but I also believe that he may not want it, but if we ask it, he will make it happen. Sometimes he will make it happen, sometimes he will not
Yeah,
make it happen.
exactly.
So,
I mean, that will, whether it will happen or not, even the strength example you gave is very apt.
yeah.
Even to go beat somebody up, you have to be stronger. You can't go and depends on the strength, subtle strength as well.
Yeah.
But the thing is, curses are real. We have to be careful. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the other concern, thank you. The other concern I have is in the purport, Sri Prabhupada said something beautiful. And he was giving example of sons of Kuvera who were cursed. That someone gets cursed, and instead of becoming mad, they don't. They put up a lotus-like smiling face. And it's very important, Sri Prabhupada use the adjective lotus-like because there are so many people who are very expert at faking smiles. There are some people when they are really ready to pounce on another person is when they start smiling. So I am trying to understand how does an individual who has been cursed probably so harshly and so wrongly at the same time will have to put up a smiling face. Instead of, and Srila Prabhupada was also saying that you do not pay back. Even if you have the strength to pay back much more than what is being leveled against you, you don't do that. Maybe I'm not, I wouldn't say maybe I'm not on that level, but I'm just struggling with myself, with my mind, with my conscience. Somebody beats me up and I'm just standing there smiling. Somebody curses me to take the body of a worm and I'm standing there smiling. I don't see how that is going to be working at my level now. And Srila Prabhupada is encouraging us to do that. I don't see. Maybe there is a way. That's why Srila Prabhupada is saying we should try. So if you can help, how do I, in this particular state of mind and consciousness, accept the curses of others and not just accepting, but meeting the curses with a smiling face? And not just even smiling face, with lotus-like smiling face, which means I have so much affection for this crazy person cursing me, wanting me to go through so much suffering. Oh, Krishna, please help.
Yeah. So again, descriptive and prescriptive. So when lotus-like face, lotus-like smile, it does not mean only about the lips moving and smiling. It's not just the smile in the physical sense. What does it mean? It means that we don't lose sleep over it in a modern context. We don't let an insult destroy our sense of identity or purpose. We go on living, we go on connecting with our true purpose of being connected to the Lord. Another explanation is, my grandmother would say this often. She went through a lot of abuse and everything. It's not like she would, what do you say, smile or bless that person or anything like that. She was a normal human being in that way, but she would say that ಹೃದಯ ಕಮಲದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನಿನ್ನ ಪದ ಪದುಮವನೆನ್ನೆವಂತೆ ಮಾಡೋ ಯದುರಾಜಾಧಿರಾಜ ಸುದರ್ಶನಧರ ಯದುರಾಜಾಧಿರಾಜ ಇದನ್ನೇ ಕೃಪೆ ಮಾಡೆನಗೆ ಮದನ ಪಿತಾ. So this is a song which proves the point that in the lotus of our hearts, the beautifully smiling lotus face of the Supreme Personality is located. Along with this beautiful smiling lotus-like smiling face, he also holds the Sudarshana Chakra. So with that Sudarshana Chakra, may he destroy whatever it is that is disturbing my low temple of the lotus temple in my heart. So the concept again connects to I am insignificant. I am insignificant person, but my significance is connected with Krishna. I am not Sri Radha Govinda. I am not Sri Radha Govinda. I am Sri Radha Govinda Dasi. So the very important significance of what does it mean lotus-like face is, where does the lotus-like smile come from? If my lotus-like smile comes from my memory, my knowledge, my wrongly pronounced shlokas, when that collapses, the smile collapses. But if my sense of smiling and happiness and peace, it comes from my identity as a servant of Lord Chaitanya. Chaitanyera das samui, Chaitanyera das, Chaitanyera das samui, tar dasera das. If my identity is connected to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and my happiness is coming from that connection to the Lord, nobody can destroy that lotus-like smile. But this is the test. This is the test that Prabhupada is giving us a quiz. If I'm unable to access that lotus-like smile, the analogy of the lotus-like smile is I'm unable to access happiness. I'm unable to access peace. I'm unable to access, lotus also represents devotion. Lotus also represents compassion. So, because the other day our Vaishnavi Sangha, we're having talks and some of the Vaishnavis are presenting the symbols of the lotus feet of the Lord has different symbols. So lotus is one of the symbol. So we had one of our Vaishnavis present about that lotus. What does that represent? What is the qualities of that lotus and why meditating on that lotus, on the lotus feet of the Lord liberates us. So similarly here, the example of lotus-like face is coming to remind us, it's a test. If I'm unable to be happy, to be at peace in a disturbing circumstance, it's time, Sri Radha Govinda Dasi, to go back to what are you connecting your sense of identity with? What is your source of happiness? And if something is disturbing me, means the anchor is not put in the right place. It's not the person who's cursing me that is at fault. It's actually a blessing of the Lord. We, even in our own personal lives, we went through something. We had certain people cursing us, and we had so many health issues and different kind of circumstances. When I was going through that, I was so mad, and I was just like feeling so hurt. More than angry, I was just hurt because we were suffering. But then later, now looking back, I'm actually very grateful for that curse. Because of that curse, many, many, many beautiful things happened for us spiritually. Why? Because the anchor, earlier, before that curse, the anchor was whatever, so society, social status, power, position. But after that, when that was not anymore the source of happiness and comfort and security, it wasn't giving us any more of that, and then I felt especially powerless. Then I was able to take shelter of the Lord and get association of devotees that I would have never got if that curse didn't happen. Because of that curse, I was humbled. And just like a pot which is dirty cannot be used to do abhishek on the Lord. There's a beautiful song about that, bhajan about that. Just like that pot, if it's stuck with some garbage or it's stuck with some blackish stuff, even if I put Ganga water in it, it's contaminated. So sometimes the Lord pours acid in it. So the acid, it could come in the form of the neighbors cursing or some other devotees cursing or some other karmis cursing, the instrument, some instrument. But for a devotee, it's always a blessing. This is the I learned that from my husband, because my husband really has that mentality. He's always grateful to enemies. He says, because of these people, I'm able to be absorbed. I'm able to write. It's a gift, I would say. The Lord gives us that mentality. It's not, I can't force it. I can't just get into, no, I can't fake it. Like you said, like even in the purport, right? You can't fake that smile. We can't fake it. Similarly, we can't fake that mental status of being unaffected. My sense of identity is unaffected from what these people are trying to do to me. I know one person who was going through some curses by people, and the person was very rich and they became very poor. And everybody around him and the family were distraught. But the person himself was not very distraught. So then when we asked this person, I was very young, but I noticed this happening. And he was asked, how come you're not affected? Why you don't, why you don't feel it? He said, because my ability to have earned that money is not taken away. Only the money and the business collapsed. I didn't collapse. But a lot of people suffer and they can't smile. Lotus-like smile where you even can't smile if they lose a job or if they lose a country passport or visa doesn't come, because they are so attached to that sense of identity and security that it's too blended. It's too wrongly connected that it drags us down. But for somebody who does not depend on what he does for a living, or what he has. But this Prabhu, this man I'm thinking of, he was being a capable person. He said, me losing the money doesn't make me incapable. Doesn't. So that state of being, that being is what Prabhupada is talking about. This is lotus-like smile. That's what Krishna is talking about. It means be happy, even if you don't have happiness. Because have happiness comes from other people's reactions, what I have, what I don't have, that brings me some sort of have security. Having is more dravya shakti, it's more tangible things. Power, position, fame, influence, all these things are having. And it can be like this taken. Could be Jaya Vijaya one day and then you're a demon in somewhere. So that will be taken. But the essence of being was still remaining in Jaya and Vijaya, always in every incarnation, whether it was Dantavakra and Shishupala, whether it was Kamsa, whether it was who? Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha. In all the three lifetimes, the core, the essence of being Krishna conscious did not leave them. They were more Krishna conscious than any, any other devotees. They couldn't stop thinking of Krishna. Either way, constantly they were thinking of Krishna. Constantly. They were doing everything. So, like a bee who focuses, a worm focuses on the bee and constantly fears and dreads that, oh my God, that bee is going to eat me. The worm becomes a bee. So that is, it's very interesting. The bee and being is coming together here. So just like a bee, becoming a bee, so being is the core of Krishna consciousness that cannot leave, that will never leave us. If we become a devotee, it doesn't matter if we become Vritrasura or become Kamsa, we became Hiranyakashipu. We will constantly be thinking of the Lord. So I hope that clarifies some.
Yes, it does.
I think
Especially remembering Krishna under all circumstances. That is what we're praying for. Lilakar Prabhu, please leave me on mute. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. How are you? First time I met you, I looked you up, but we take it for granted that. Thank you very much for your presence. One thing I think was talked about is like when you reach the Vaikuntha platform, you achieve a permanent satisfaction, bliss. You have all your bills paid, etc., like that. At the same time, there's always a danger, and I think this is a very noteworthy danger, and I think everybody's affected, is what they call boredom. BOREDOM. That even if we achieve the platform of bliss and satisfaction, there's always a danger of things can becoming too perfect. It can become creepy. It can become bored. So I was wanting to talk about that, how we can not fall into that platform of boredom. I mean, and more or less could be related to sort of the uncertainty that Krishna creates in his pastimes in Vrindavan. So I'll let you illuminate that on us.
Thank you, Leelakar Prabhu. Nice to see you. I heard this from my Guru Maharaj in one of the lectures, something along these lines. Krishna won't allow you to get bored. He will send you troubles. He will send you challenges. He'll send you, if not in personal life, maybe within the organization or something. So Krishna consciousness, I think it's impossible to become bored. Yeah. Nitya Kishori, would you like
Yeah,
to?
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Es-
Krishna.
Especially when we start thinking that, I'm bored, for sure, some astrological planet will get triggered and say, oh, really? I'll show you how boring life can be. It's just a phase. It may happen like two lunar cycles or something, and then you're back in business. In fighting between Saturn and Rahu, and Mars is always around the corner. That's like astrologer's statement. Yeah, thank you. Nitya Kishori?
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. Always happy to hear your classes. So, I was wondering that these, I didn't hear the starting part, but I was wondering that these curses are due to karmic reactions also from previous karmas.
Absolutely. Yes, also. Some are prarabdha, some are aprarabdha, means still like not yet manifested. Prarabdha is already manifested, like the physically how we look. Some people don't look nice. Some people are born with one eye or no eye, or um, that's the kind of effect of curses. But on another level, like our own, again, the being, if we're being harsh to others, if we're being always unfair, etc., then those people that we may hurt will curse. If somebody hurts somebody, the hurt person curses the person who hurt them. So the person carries the karma. Sometimes in this life, I mean, usually they say in Kali Yuga, we experience it immediately. It's not that next life I will suffer. It will suffer in this life only. It will come now, they say. But it's said that Kali Yuga, immediately the reactions happen. But yes, there are curses. I don't know if you heard that part. I was saying about ancestral curses. Sometimes our ancestors have some curse and we have to carry. Sometimes we took some promises and we didn't keep up. Yeah, there are different types of curses.
So only we hear that chanting, if we chant and then every obstacles will be removed, and so I just wanted to know what is the remedy for this curses, like only chanting Harinam or.
Yeah, we have to again understand, no? Like, yes, Harinam, holy name is the only way. Like, even there are like we organize these yagyas and everything that can remove, but what it cannot remove is the pattern or the mentality. It can remove the curse itself, but if there's a thief, you forgive him for the theft, he'll go back and steal again, right? So the point of the curses is so that we learn our lessons. So it's not a mechanical thing that we spoke in the beginning. The whole theme of this Bhagavatam section is we can't, if we perform things mechanically chanting, mechanically performing devotional service may not remove the curse. We have to consciously work on it and look at ourselves in the mirror. Mirror, when I say that, like look at ourselves, introspect ourselves and see, why am I suffering about this particular area of my life? What is my lesson here? Then we chant, crying to the Lord, please help me to resolve this. So ultimately, curses are one shape or form through different instruments, are ways that our anarthas manifest in an active state. One other term we have is the purva prarabdha. So there are two types of prarabdha also. There are one is the prarabdha which comes from previous life that we have no memory, etc. But the purva prarabdha means we even though it's from past, we continuing on that. So there are two lanes of clash. So it depends on our sincerity, depends on how introspective we are. Bhaktivinoda Thakur speaks about introspection, and he gets into Krishna pastimes, Krishna Leela and the demons. Different demons represent different anarthas. So the curses can also be related to that. So removing them is not the point. That's what I'm trying to say. The suffering will purify us, whether we get it removed or not, but the mentality, that to change that mentality, we have to beg the Lord, please help me. Please help me. So the first step in 3 steps, the answer is, first step is awareness. Admitting I am aware of my anarthas and admitting that I have these anarthas. And the second step is to hand it over to the Lord, give it to the Lord. And the third step is to do our next right thing, do the duty of whatever it is that we need to take care. And then chanting and sadhana and service, not done mechanically, but done in the state of Tranadapi Sunichena. I'm insignificant. My significance is connected to you, my dear Lord. Then it works. It's like a package. It's a package deal.
Yeah, thank you, Mataji. Makes sense. But sometimes I hear like arguments that no chanting. Yes, I have faith that only chanting will cleanse. But sometimes I hear that only chanting will cleanse everything, and I see that myself. Yeah, it's been long time still struggling with so many anarthas. So I was just thinking about I have faith in Hari name, but so I think again I'm coming back to the same point that only chanting, like if somebody does, okay, I'll do more and more chanting, so that will cleanse the heart, because yeah, purification is important. Then only Trina, the Pisu Nechena, I think mentality will come. Otherwise, in our anarthas also, uh, consciousness can shift to pride and other things also. So, but this Trina, the Pisu Nechena, I think it's very tough. To reach that consciousness, and from there praying to Lord. So unless this Trinadapi Sunichana consciousness is still far away, so only chanting and more chanting. So I just wanted to hear about that.
Of course, if we chant 24 hours, we don't scroll, we don't offend anybody, we don't get angry with our family, of course it will purify. Of course you yeah, of course. There's no doubt about it. The point is how much space we give to the holy name. It takes humility to give more space to the holy name, because I give importance to so many other things. I have this project, I have that project, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to get angry with this person, I want to get angry with that person. If I don't do any of that and I sit and chant, of course that's the solution. But do we have the humility to do that?
Yeah.
So when Prabhupada says, no, the lines in the hand will change when you clap and chant Hare Krishna. You got to chant for a long time like that. For the lines to change, you have to stop doing everything else you're doing and sit and clap. So yes, Kirtaniya Sadahari. That's the whole deal. That's the whole deal. Can we afford that deal? Are we doing that deal? Why we are not doing that deal? Such an easy deal. Why am I not doing? Right? That's the answer. That's the answer is there. And when we said about pride, pride cannot come from chanting Hare Krishna, but I mean, not necessarily directly, but it could pop up. Like I chant, these devotees, I don't know if they chant, I come every day to the temple, I do it, I can come even from that,
Yeah.
It's tricky. It's
Yeah.
tricky.
Thank you so much. Wonderful answer.
And, the final answer is this. We don't have to try to become Pranadapi Sunichana. Krishna is already giving us so many opportunities to refine us. We are on the right track. We cannot be lost. Bhakti Tirth Maharaj used to say, I'm blessed by the best and I'll settle for nothing less. I think that's what means having a lotus-like smile.
Thank you so much, Mataji.
Thank you.
Well, Hare Krishna, thank you for the beautiful questions and wonderful answers. A trend I am seeing from this pastime and some lessons I'm learning is that it is quite unfortunate in the sense that it's more or less like the survival of the fittest. If I'm stronger than you, then I can pounce on you and use you the way I want to use you. And I am wondering how Krishna allows something like that to happen in a community of civilized beings. For example, I am not yet a Vaishnava, but I'm trying and struggling to be a Vaishnava. So in ISKCON, for example, it's a community of Vaishnavas, Vaishnavis. We're all trying to be devotees. Now, if someone is a demon, instead of cursing, he or she herself will effect what he or she wants. Because instead of sorting after a supernatural being to make her wish come true, a demon will effect the expectation himself or herself. So how does Krishna allow someone who is chanting his holy names, Krishna's holy names, and living amongst other people who are also chanting the holy names of the Lord? But this particular person or that particular person is a demon. And instead of sorting after somebody else, he or she can actually effect what he wants against another devotee. And if that happens, what should the person who is being affected by this evil do? If you're not careful, it might, just like this Mataji was saying, we keep saying chanting, 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 chanting. The person keeps chanting, but at the same time, he's been affected by this demoniac attack. And it's very common in Africa because lots of people believe that it's a survival of the fittest. And therefore, instead of people depending on Krishna, they will depend on some other higher force because this other higher force is prepared to fight. To fight because you approached him or her to give you some protection. He or she is ready to fight for you. So this survival of the fittest, I do not think is really nice, especially for civilized human beings. But these things sometimes do happen in the Vaishnava community. And when it happens, what should the devotee that has been affected, what should he or she do? Maybe we should find a time to have a full platform to discussing this because it's a very serious issue affecting so many devotees on the different levels. But for the time being, if you have something to say in regards to this concern I have, please.
Sahadev Prabhu, sometimes I don't know the context with which you speak. You kind of avoid the actual situation and you speak. So I'll try my best to give like a general.
Yeah, just make it general.
Yeah.
Yes.
So first of all, how is this person chanting? What quality is the chanting? When we had all this curses situation, that was the first question I had to ask myself. Am I really chanting with absorption, with taste, with focus, with crying emotions about the problem, or am I just being escaping and chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama? Sometimes I'm not, maybe I wasn't even chanting the mantra, you know. So when this desperate situation happened, like you were saying, what do we do in this circumstance? We become so desperate. Any help, anywhere, we want it, right? So it was very hard to turn that and chant, asking Krishna for help. I remember when that happened, and then I had a call and everything kind of fell in place. I remember that day, one particular day, I chanted like with super desperate, powerless, helpless mood. And then I had a call with my astrology guru for something completely different. And then I said, by the way, we are also going through this. Can you check us? He has mystical ways to check and everything. He said, yeah, I'll call tomorrow. I'll check and I'll tell you tomorrow. And then after like an hour or an hour and a half, he called me back and he said, what happened? It seems so there's this curse and whatever. What happened? Like he was like very anxious and he said, what happened in your life? Suddenly overnight this has happened. And then I had to explain, and somehow he was sent by Krishna. It took many months, by the way, for him to remove those curses and clean us with all this thing attacks that were happening. And even the attacks were from sattvic sources. And that shocked me. How could sattvic forces hurt us? But then I realized the sattvic forces was shaking us up, and the sattvic forces, Krishna and Nrsingadev, protected us. So the point is, yes, Krishna may send difficulty. My grandmother often said that. Don't ask Krishna to not give you troubles. Ask Krishna to give you problems that you can solve. So there's a difference. So the point is, the desperation that we may experience when we are cursed or when we have no faith and all the problems are happening, there are two ways to deal with this. One, we become so desperate that anything goes, I will take help. Another, to chant and cry to the Lord with sincere heart. And then if he sends the right help, we can see it, we feel it, and we'll come out of that. Like we came out of it. We could feel the difference. And I remember feeling so helpless, hopeless. And until I could chant in that way, right solution was not coming. There were other people saying, oh, we can fix this, do that, but it wasn't helping. But when I was able to cry and take shelter, there's no other way, no other way than taking shelter of the holy name. Then it doesn't mean we will die on the operation table. The right surgeon may come and still the operation may take place. So the thing is, we can't speak like fanatic. Again, fanatic is good if you're going to chant in 24 rounds. Great. Be the Haridas Thakur. Do that. That's the best. But if you cannot do that because you have to go to a job and the boss is bad and you have to live a family life, but you have issues there, all the desires and expectations that we have for peace and harmony and finance and abundance, there are obstacles in that. Do what it takes to remove those obstacles if you can. Otherwise, cry to the Lord to send the right help. We're not kind of I don't know what kind of sadist spiritualists that say that if we have a family member sick in fever, we don't say just chant Hare Krishna. Or somebody's had a fracture in the hand, just chant Hare Krishna, the bones will fit by themselves. No, we take them to the hospital. So this is a serious thing about these curses and everything. It's more serious sometimes than breaking a bone, because something breaks inside our minds, gets covered. It's like clouded layers that causes us great discomfort and many health issues and so many things. So this thing is real. So we have to take it seriously. It's not like we say, no, just chant Hare Krishna, let the death come in a painful way. No, we go to the doctor, we take the medicine. But pray so that you get the right person. For me also, it took some time to get in touch with this group of brahmanas who are doing this particular yagyas. It took time. And Guruji always says, whenever we are getting anybody contacting us, he says, Sudarshana Narasimha has chosen them. They have become qualified to get it. Not everybody gets it. So if we don't get the right help, it means we still need work to do. We have to become more qualified. So even to get right help, we need to be some little sukriti, some mercy, some causeless mercy has to fall upon us. Ultimately, one answer to your whole thing, one headline of the answer is, these situations humble us, and that's the purpose of it. It humbles us to know that we are not in control. We are not in control even for the right solutions to the right persons. To get help it's not easy to get help from the right persons. So I think I covered, oh yeah, there was one more important thing I wanted to say. in the concept of personalism and Krishna consciousness and Gaudiya Vaishnava culture, from the teachings of Rupa Goswami, Bhaktivinoda Thakur's description of the demons, etc., nobody is a demon. It's only that somebody behaves like a demon. Why? Go back to the story. No matter how much we become upset with Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu, they're not demons. They're behaving like demons. They were ultimately Jaya and Vijaya. Similarly, we have a different philosophy than Christians. Christians kind of believe in eternal hell and that kind of concept, which is like different. Gaudiya Vaishnavas, we have a different understanding because the acharyas explain that, again, Krishna will, if the intention is wrong and the action is right, he will consider the action. If the action is wrong and intention is right, he will consider the intention. So when Putana tried to feed Krishna poisoned milk, Krishna said, "Oh my God, she wants to feed me milk." So he took her action as a determining factor, and he gave her a position of nurse in the spiritual world. Why? Because there's a story behind Putana, why she became that way, why she behaves like a witch, but she's not a witch. And every story of Krishna Leela, every single demon had a traumatic past, which was not a demon, but their behavior caused them to be. And we have the other side of examples, like Prahlad Maharaj was born in the family of demons. Vritrasura is the greatest hero of Srimad Bhagavatam, not Indra, not any demigod. Vritrasura, ugly looking monster with copper hair. It's all like touching the sky and very, very gory. And he's the hero of Srimad Bhagavatam. Not because he was a demon, both sense. First of all, he wasn't behaving like a demon, therefore he became a hero. But even if somebody is behaving like a demon, the Vaishnava understanding, the Gaudiya Vaishnava understanding is to see that this is a disease of the soul, the disease that the soul is covered by. This is not the original Satchidananda, the real soul. This is blended, this is covered with all these curses. And so the behaving like a demon, we do that because we are cursed. In this case, Jaya and Vijaya were cursed, and therefore they behave like a demon. So that's the actual philosophical understanding. Everybody who behaves badly, criminals, pedophiles, murderers, rapists, and other bad politicians or whatever, they are cursed people, cursed with pathological illnesses, maybe mental illnesses, sadism, narcissism, demoniac tendencies, whatever. But ultimately, they are cursed with this disease to different degrees. And we are not spared. We also have some curse in some area or another. So our curse maybe is more subtle. It's dressed in sari and tilak and nice looking kantimala, but it's still a disease. Bhavaroga mochakane pavamana ninnavaravanu nanu madava priyane ಜವನ ಬಾಧೆಯ ಬಿಡಿಸು ಅವನಿಯೊಳು ಸುಜನರಿಗೆ ದಿವಿಜಗಣ ಮಧ್ಯದೊಳು ಪ್ರವರ ನೀನಹುದೋ. This is the explanation that Bhavaroga Mochakane, only Krishna can relieve us from this disease, because ultimately he is the controller. If the pot is dirty, acid has to go, some curse has to go to remove that tendency. So many, many years and sometimes lifetimes of being sick, being mad, being crazy, being diseased. Finally, I realized, I'm not the controller. Because and another thing you said, I wanted to ask you this question. How long? How long do you think these politicians will rule? How long do you think this demoniac behavior will go on? The other day, we were looking at why some bully type of people get away with doing things in ISKCON, whereas the nice people just sit there, they don't speak up. Why does the people get along? And I was doing like an astrological prashna and everything with the AI. And the AI started talking in the astrology language, said that, well, Saturn gives you a chance, another chance, but then when he comes, he comes to give you. And I've seen that. So another thing, again, my grandfather would say, when you keep going up and up and up, and I'm the temple president, I mean, whatever, I'm the business person, I'm the millionaire, I'm the billionaire, you can have different bossanuga type of mentality, different things. So the more and more I go, the fall is going to be harder. The harder it is. So sometimes we may see somebody and we think, what? Why? We're losing our mind. But we should feel sorry because they're going to have a really bad fall. And we may be here, and when we have the fall, we feel, ouch. Yeah, but look at them. So what we do? Jiva Doya. Lord Chaitanya says, we feel compassion. Gunadama tanukroshan gunadikan mudam lipset. Srimad Bhagavatam says that if somebody is less than us, I mean, although they are here and we are here, somehow they are less than us because they think that they're going to keep going up, and we know that that's the limit and it's going to crash. We know that. So we feel compassion for them. But Gunadama tanukroshan gunadikan mudam lipset. Oh, that also is very connected to this verse today. Gunadikan mudam lipset. But if somebody is becoming famous because they are a good, whatever, devotee, and they're making followers, they have such nice voice, they're giving nice classes, they're becoming leader, whatever, okay? They're becoming due to some sukriti and strength. And I'm envious of it. That's not right. Bhagavatam says, mudam lipset. You need to have a lotus-like smile. Mudam lipset. So it's like smiling face. You have to be happy for them. So we don't know always whether this person is going to go up and fall, or the person is going up because of their capacity and Krishna wants them to preach. And I have had to look very honestly, like a very moral inventory. Am I jealous of this person and therefore I'm feeling this? Or is this person really just proud and doing nonsense? Sometimes there's mixture there.
Well, thank you so much, Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you,
Uh,
everybody. I think it's time. It's 10 p.m. for me.
Yes. I personally wouldn't pray for like somebody who's been able to rise up, and misbehaving. I wouldn't wish to pray for such a person to fall.
Why?
But I will not cry if that person falls. I will actually be happy not because the person fell and maybe broke some bones, but I'll be happy in the sense that he will no more be able to hurt others anymore. So I wouldn't pray that happens, but if Krishna lets that happen, that would be beautiful.
Well, also, see, we have to change the thinking more than, oh, he will not be able to hurt. Also for the person, for their spiritual life, pride may not have been the best thing.
Yeah.
So we should not only think, oh, good riddance, this person is gone, relief. We should think that, well, this is also a soul who needs to be on the right path. So sometimes, sometimes something happened and some devotee had to go to jail, and I was having this conversation, and Kantya Prabhu said, I think it could be a good place for this person to introspect, to chant, to really think about his intentions, because as long as they are outside, so it's not whether they go to jail or they fall, it's not the point. The point is, do we wish for them to advance in Krishna consciousness? And losing their position, prison, may be the best thing that could happen to them. Sometimes when big people get into scandals and the scandal comes up, in one sense, maybe that's the best thing that could happen to them, because they may become very, very great devotees really after that. Anyway, hope, wish so. But we need to be careful about our mood towards them.
Well, thank you so much. I know one particular person.
Last sentence.
Yes.
We should wish for the other person to learn their lessons joyfully. Only then and only then can we learn our lessons joyfully. If we wish for other people to learn their lessons painfully, then that would apply to us.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. I was saying, I know one particular person, not a devotee, but is a big leader, and he is very crazy. And I wouldn't pray for him to fall, but if he falls, I would jubilate. Dear devotees, forgive me, but we're going to humbly request you all to kindly unmute yourselves, and we all chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra to express our deepest gratitude and appreciation to our revered speaker, Her Grace Sri Radha Govinda Devi Dasi, who always reminds me of my beloved Sri Radha Govinda at Media. I've been missing them for so long. Please, you may all unmute. Jai. Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Hare,
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Rama
Hare
Rama
Rama,
Hare,
Rama,
Hare
Hare Hare.
Vancha Kalpa
Chakapatra
Tarubhyascha, Kripasi Vibhavacha, Patitanam
Patitanam
Krishna
Pavanebhyo,
Dev
Namo
Namaha.
Namaha.
Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. All glorious to
Everybody hands up.
Devi Ki
Jai.
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 Glorious to Krishna Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Jai.
All for the Sambal Vaishnavi devotees Ki Jai.
Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Jai.
Govinda Prabhu, your